So welcome everyone. So in this live stream, I'm going to teach you the motherboard circuits. Based on your comments, I get a lot of comments about circuits, because if you understand motherboard circuits, you can easily spot any failure in any motherboard. Okay, so we're gonna study motherboard circuits, of course, on motherboards and also on schematics. Okay, so let's begin and let's take a look to the motherboard. So let's use this motherboard, for example. Okay, so the motherboard circuits in this live stream, you're gonna master the motherboard circuits structure or architecture. So as I told you, I go in first to explain to you and to teach you on motherboard, and after that we're gonna see the schematics and we're gonna see more details. So as you can see here, for example, let's take this circuit. So always, if you want to spot quickly circuits on the motherboard, you have to look for coils or big inductors like those. So wherever you say inductor means there is a circuit. Sorry. Here, for example, we have an inductor and we have the battery connector, means automatically this is the charge circuit. Here we have inductors, and once these two inductors are same and next to each other, means this is 3 volt, 5 volt circuit. This is basically the methods we use to identify circuits. But now let's go deeper into understanding how circuits are designed. Let's take, for example, another motherboard. This one here, for example. So we have the same. We have inductors, we have electric capacitors, MOSFETs, we have serial capacitors. So basically, the circuit is composed of some components. We find always in the beginning or in the input, we find the ceramic capacitors. Do you see? Here means input. Then we have switches. Then from the coil, here means we get the output. Those here are just for filter. So we can even use the multimeter to follow the signal here in the circuit. Okay, let me use the multimeter in order to understand 100%. And of course, I'm going to use the continuity option. So let's select the continuity option in the multimeter first, because we're gonna follow the signal or the voltage. This is the simplest way to understand circuit on motherboard. And of course, if you understand just one circuit, you can understand other circuits. Okay, let's use the multimeter like this. And of course, we're gonna work on this circuit. We're gonna, of course, study other advanced circuits, but let's begin with this one first. Okay, let's make it like this. Okay. As I told you, we select the continuity option on the multimeter. Look, the most important and the first step in every circuit is to locate the input. And the input, of course, is, the input is always identified. You can identify the input by these capacitors, ceramic capacitors. And in the other side, the output is determined by electrolytic capacitor. Here we have the output, here we have the input. So, of course, in the input, let's first locate the ground. Let's locate the ground. One probe here, another probe here. Okay, so this is the ground. So those capacitors are connected to the ground in this side. Means here, in this side, we have the input voltage. The voltage here, okay, let's assume the voltage is 19 volts, will be directly applied to this MOSFET. Okay? Do you see? The multimeter, I have this tip is a little bit very thick, no problem. Okay, let me see the trace. Let me spot if the trace is okay. Yes. Okay. Nice. Maybe I will use another probe. Okay, let's make like this. Okay, as I told you, so it's not connected in this side. Okay, it's not connected in this side. Let's recheck again. So the ground, so one probe here, another probe here. So over here we have the ground. Means here we have 19 volts. Okay, so the 19 volt will pass from this side. Let's check this side. Okay, not this side. Let's check the other side of the MOSFET. This side, for example. No, this side should be connected to the coil. As you can see, this side is connected to the coil. Do you see, my friends? So I have the problem. I have the tip here is a little bit very thick. Anyway, the 19 volt will pass from this side to this MOSFET, and then here this MOSFET is connected to this one here and also connected to the coil. If we check between the coil, as you can see, and the MOSFET, do you see we have continuity? Between this MOSFET and the coil, we have continuity. And also between this MOSFET here and the coil, we should get continuity also, as you can see. Means what? Means these two MOSFETs are connected together in this side. And this side here is connected to the input, and this side of this MOSFET, this is basically the lower MOSFET, this side should be connected to what? To the ground, as you can see. Okay, my friends? So again, for beginner, here we have the input connected to this MOSFET. These two sides are connected together, as you can see. Okay, and this is the lower MOSFET. This MOSFET here is connected to the ground. Now we detect basically the higher MOSFET and the lower MOSFET. And of course, here the MOSFETs are connected here and also connected to the inductor. Means what? Means if I put one from here, okay, I should also get continuity in this side of the inductor. Do you see? I have also continuity in this side, and also the electrolytic capacitor directly is connected to this two MOSFETs here. Means this side is the input, and from this side we have the output. If you want, I can even explain to you this circuit basically in the schematic. And by the way, we have the same principle for this circuit. This basically is for 5 volt. This one also, this side here is connected to the ground. Okay, let's see. Spot the ground first. Okay, this side of this input serial capacitors is connected to the ground. Okay, and this side here, basically here we have 19 volt. And of course, those capacitors will be, of course, 100% connected to this MOSFET, the first MOSFET. This MOSFET here in this side will be connected to what? To this MOSFET over here. Okay, let's do like this. Let's check between this MOSFET and this inductor. Okay, those tips should replace those tips, no problem. Okay, we have here the input, here we have the output, okay? And of course the inductor here will be connected to the electrolytic capacitor. Basically here we have the output. So the most important here, my friends, is that for the circuit you have always to locate the inputs and outputs. We can make the same thing, but this time for another circuit. Let's, for example, take the CPU circuit. Let's use the CPU circuit, a clear circuit, and of course the CPU circuit is one of the basically the complicated circuits on motherboards. Let's go directly and check the CPU circuit. So of course I will use another clear motherboard. Okay, let's use this motherboard. This time we're gonna use a clear motherboard, this one. Okay, let's make it like this. Nice. So this is the CPU circuit. Okay, let's get started. I teach you right now how to break down the circuits on motherboards. Because if you break down the circuits and if you understand the circuits, you can fix any failure. Because the motherboard basically is composed of many circuits, RAM circuits, 3-volt, 5-volt circuits, CPU circuit, charge circuit, etc. So this one here is for the CPU. As I told you, always locate the ceramic capacitors. Here we have big ceramic capacitors, we have big MOSFETs, easy. So for the capacitors, of course, here we have input, here we have output. The proof, first of all, we have to locate the ground. It seems that the ground is in this side. So let's check. One probe here, another here. Do you see? I get continuity. Beep means this is the ground. And this side here we have the input voltage for the CPU. So these ceramic capacitors are connected together and also connected to this MOSFET here and to this signal MOSFET here. Okay? Okay, so please attention. I told you that the first step, if you want to master motherboard repair, is to understand the circuits. And the circuits are the same in every motherboard, but you have to understand how to break down the circuit. So this is a circuit basically. This is a part of a CPU circuit. Remember, always we have to identify first the ceramic capacitors in one side and the electrolytic capacitors or tantalum capacitors in some boards. Okay? So in this board, I have here in the output tantalum capacitors, but in this board, for example, we have electrolytic capacitors. Okay, look, always ceramic capacitors in one side, electrolytic capacitor or tantalum capacitor in the other side. The side where we have ceramic capacitors is the input, and the side where we have the electrolytic capacitor is what? Is the output. Same here. This side here where we have the ceramic capacitor is the input, and over here is the output. Okay, so now when you get a failed motherboard, first it's easy to know if the failure is in the charge circuit or in the CPU circuit. When you have a no power motherboard, of course you have to focus on charge circuit, 3-volt, 5-volt circuit. But when you have or you get a motherboard with a no data failure, you have of course to focus on what? To focus on CPU circuit, PCH circuit, BIOS, etc. Okay. So now we understand that always ceramic capacitors refer to the input. Okay. So the first step to break down the circuit and to make it easy for you, even if you are bigger, is to locate the ground. Here we have the ground. Nice. This side is the ground. Okay? How? Because always the ground is connected to the wide trace or wide area. And this side here, this is basically what? This is the input. Here we have 19 volts. And if I put one probe here and check these two MOSFETs, as you can see, the input is connected to these two MOSFETs. This is basically the higher MOSFETs. Okay, this is the higher MOSFETs. Why we have two MOSFETs? Because this is CPU circuit. Okay, and those are lower MOSFETs. So input connected to this side here. This MOSFET here is connected to this one, and also this MOSFET is connected to this one. Easy. We follow the paths, my friends. Okay, and 100% we know that the side of this MOSFET should be connected to what? To the ground, as you can see. And also the side of this one here should be connected to the ground. Why? Because those are lower MOSFETs. Okay? So here the most important is that the 19 volt or the B plus will pass from this side to this side. Here, okay, to this side. So this side of this MOSFET over here should be connected to the output, to 10 channel capacitor. Let's check. As you can see, do you see? Even if I don't have the same path, but I know. Why? Because here those are the output. So for example, for the CPU circuit, if you didn't get the VCC core, you don't have to go and replace the processor and check somewhere. No, you have first to check the output. Is the VCC core present here? If not, you have to go back and check MOSFETs and then go back and check the input, the ceramic capacitors. If any of those capacitors are shorted, you will not get the outputs. Very easy. About circuits are very easy to understand. Let me now explain to you this circuit on a paper, or even in a paper, in order to understand 100%. Okay. Okay, so as I told you, if you understand just one circuit on motherboard, you can understand how to troubleshoot and fix any motherboard. So always on circuits, we have an IC, like this IC. This is basically the controller IC. Okay, we have the controller IC. We have here the input in this side. Okay, in the input we find what? We find ceramic capacitors. As I told you, we find ceramic capacitors. It could be 3, it could be 2, no matter. Anyway, we find ceramic capacitors. Okay, this is basically the input where we have B plus. Okay, so this B plus will be applied to the drain of a MOSFET. Q1. The source of this MOSFET will be connected to the second or to the lower MOSFET, Q2. Okay, the gate basically is controlled by the control IC. Okay, here we have the drain. Here we have the source connected to the ground, the same as we have seen in the motherboard. Also control IC. And here, these two MOSFETs here will be connected to a coil L and to basically electrolytic capacitor or tantalum capacitor. And then we will get here the output. Okay, we will get here the output. The same working principle as we have seen in the motherboard. Same. Of course, I forget to mention the IC. Here we have the IC. This is the IC. Two MOSFETs here. This is the CPU, means here we have double MOSFETs over here. The drain also connected to this drain. The source here connected to the source here. This is just a duplicated MOSFET. Okay, we have two MOSFETs. We have coil in the other side. Here, as you can see, we have coil. And of course, we have here tantalum capacitors. We have tantalum capacitor. So ceramic capacitors refer to inputs, as you can see here. Okay, inputs. And tantalum capacitor or electrolytic capacitor refer to outputs. I know that many of you cannot or will find this explanation a little bit hard to understand. I know, but this is the deep basically explanation of circuits. If you understand how to deal with inputs and outputs, you can know the exact place of the problem. You can spot the issue very fast. Okay. So guys, for those who ask me many times about motherboards or desktop, ask me about the desktop motherboard, please don't worry, because always we have the same circuit, same working principle. Let's, for example, take the RAM circuit. Here, basically, we have the RAM circuit, same working principle. We have the IC here, we have the coil, we have the electrolytic capacitor, MOSFETs. The input is in this side. Here we don't have ceramic capacitors, but we have coils. Okay, we have two MOSFETs, we have coil. The output, we have the electrolytic capacitor. So for the desktop computer and laptop, they have the same structure, the same working principle in terms of circuits. And of course, the circuit is what made motherboards. Means, please, if you understand the laptop, how to troubleshoot the laptop, the desktop will be very easy for you. Now, let me show you a clear circuit on a schematic. Okay. Okay, let me show you a clear circuit here, just to understand. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Here we have a simple circuit, but also I'm going to search for the CPU circuit. No problem. I will first explain to you this circuit. This circuit basically has as a purpose to generate the VCCP. As you can see here, we have the VCCP. Okay, the VCCP is the voltage necessary for the input-output for the processor. Here we have the output. Look, here basically we have the B plus. Here we have the input, the same as I told you in the motherboard. We have ceramic capacitors, so always we use ceramic capacitors to identify the input. Two MOSFETs, we have coil. We have here the electrolytic capacitor, DC, polarized capacitor. We have the pad or test point. We have the VCC, the output, and of course we have the control IC. This basic circuit is what you have to retain and you have to understand if you want to master repair. And the title for this live should be Understanding the Inputs and Outputs of a Circuit is the way or is the shortcut to master motherboard repair. Literally, if you understand the inputs and outputs of circuits, literally, you can master motherboard repair. Because basically a lot of professionals and technicians didn't know where to start. For example, in this case, you don't have here the VCCP where you have to start. Is it from the input or from the output or where? And this is why you have to master circuit break. Today I break down for you circuits on motherboard and on schematics. Okay, so thank you very much. I will try to summarize a little bit and see if there is any question, okay, to answer. So guys, if there is any question, I'm here to answer it for you. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and like this live stream. So maybe there is no question. Do you have any question? So guys, once there is no question to answer, so thank you very much. I hope that you understand how to deal with circuits or motherboards. Okay, if you have please any question, I'm here to answer. Otherwise, thank you very much. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and see you with another live stream. Maybe we have here a question. Okay, I have here a question. What if the board, Tudoros, what if the board was damaged in an intermediate layer? If you go to the video I upload, maybe before yesterday, I teach you how to know if the board is damaged or broken in any line or not by testing, ground testing. The title was ground testing. Please go to the video. I will give you the date and the title. If you watch that video, you will understand how to deal with this kind of failure. Let me just take a look to the video and I will give you the title and the date. So that's the title, my friend. Is your motherboard failing? Try the simple test, motherboard ground test. Okay, in that video I teach you how to use the ground to test the serviceability of a motherboard. Basically the date was 11, okay, October, just maybe before 2 days. You can go and watch the video. You will understand 100% how to use the ground to know if the board is good or not. You are very welcome, Mr. Theodoros. Is there any other question? Okay, my friends, thank you very much. See you with another live stream. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, if you have the possibility to share the video, I will appreciate that for you. You are very welcome, Mr. James.